This is part 3 of our 2024 African Safari video. We set off for the Serengeti on a bush plane after landing on a tiny airstrip at the Caribou Airport. We were driven to the Lamala Kuria Hills Camp, which I absolutely adored. What makes this place so special? Well, it perfectly captures the essence of an iconic African campsite, yet offers all the modern comforts and luxury. The staff was full of energy and enthusiasm, making our stay even more enjoyable. One of our favorite spots was the outdoor fire pit in the main lodge. A perfect place to unwind and soak in the beauty of the Serengeti. August is the peak of the Great Migration, when hundreds and thousands of animals crisscross the rivers at the Serengeti in search of fresh grass and water. The name Serengeti comes from the Maasai Serengeti, meaning endless plains. While we did witness a few smaller crossings, they weren't quite the dramatic scenes that you see on National Geographic, with thousands of wildebeest and zebras charge through the water. To experience that, we would have had to park the Jeep by a prime crossing spot and wait for up to 8 hours. Instead, we asked Emmanuel to take us in search of leopards and lions, and he certainly delivered, much to our delight, as sitting and waiting in a Jeep isn't my idea of fun. In addition to the usual sightings of zebras, elephants, wildebeest, and giraffes, we had the thrill of spotting a leopard with 2 cubs lounging on a rock, and several lions guarding their fresh kill, a zebra, hidden beneath some bushes. The kill was still fresh, likely being concealed from hyenas, who are also known to steal from lions when they're hungry enough. The landscapes of the Serengeti feels as though it's straight out of the movie, Out of Africa. It is the Africa you imagine as a child but never thought you'd have the chance to experience. The scenery is magical, with vast open skies, fresh air, rocky outcrops, towering termite mounds, and the occasional appearance of small bushes. The roads here are even bumpier than in Serengeti, so much so that I often found myself airborne in the back of the Jeep. We spotted a large bird known as the marabou stork, the ugliest bird I've ever seen. It looks just downright sinister, as if it's capable of hatching the cruelest schemes. In stark contrast, the warthogs are quite the opposite. They look so innocent and perpetually confused, often seeming as if they've forgotten where they're headed. In The Lion King, they are called Pumbaa, which fittingly means idiot in Swahili. Early one morning, Todd and I embarked on a hot air balloon ride. We were picked up at 4:40 a.m. to ensure we reached our destination by sunrise. While many of the other guests had experienced ballooning before, it was our first time, and I wasn't quite sure what to expect. As it turned out, the experience was unforgettable, with a smooth takeoff and landing. Floating above the Serengeti felt surreal as we gazed down at its tranquil landscape, occasionally spotting zebras, giraffes, or hippos. I especially enjoy watching the other balloons rise higher and higher into the sky. I cannot imagine a more breathtaking setting for a first hot air balloon adventure than the Serengeti. Once again, we enjoyed a few picturesque lunch spots and unforgettable sundowners in the beautiful Serengeti. Now I understand why Hemingway and so many others fell in love with Africa, feeling its irresistible pull to return time and time again. As we bid farewell to the Serengeti and the wonderful Lamala Korea Hills Camp, I made a vow to return someday, this time bringing my children and grandchildren to share in this incredible experience. Sadly, this is also where we part ways with Emmanuel, who is not authorized to be our guide in Kenya. Our next stop was the Maasai Mara, which is essentially the same vast stretch of land as the Serengeti, but on the Kenyan side. The landscape here was a bit more wooded, but still desolate and hauntingly beautiful. Our driver Robert has a deep knowledge of this area, which quickly proved to be invaluable. This time we stayed at Little Governor's Camp. To reach it, we had to walk down to the river and step into a small boat where Joseph, the boatman, pulled us across the other side. This river is a favorite hangout for crocodiles and hippos, so falling in was definitely not an option. The Maasai Mara turned out to be my favorite place in this part of Africa, just when I thought the scenery couldn't be any more beautiful. Compared to the Serengeti, I found the Maasai Mara to be hillier and much lusher. Our game drive often took us through ditches, small creeks, and various obstacles, making the drive a real challenge. But if the roads were smoother, we'd risk destroying the delicate ecosystem these magnificent animals call home. Once again, the landscape was dotted with acacia trees, though sometimes they should fall apart. We also came across mounds rising 3 to 4 feet high where lions love to bask in the sun and sleep most of the day. One day we saw a lion perched atop one of these mounds, and it instantly reminded me of Simba as king of the jungle from The Lion King. One day we stopped next to a river where 3 different families of hippos were lounging in the water. Every so often, they lift their heads out of the water, wiggle their round ears, and make a snorting sound. Occasionally, we'd see 2 of them play fight as part of their daily exercise, but mostly they just stayed cool and relaxed. We were also fortunate enough to see the elusive cheetah The lunches and sundowners in the Maasai Mara are simply the best. In a landscape so vast and empty, it's hard not to feel a sense of insignificance and realize how trivial our daily problems can seem. Here, the trees endure the harsh environment and the animals remain ever vigilant. One wrong move could spell disaster, with predators always lurking nearby. All good things must come to an end. After our final safari drive, we reluctantly boarded our last bush plane flight to Nairobi. From there, we were transferred to the beautiful island of Zanzibar.